welcome you to this exploration of what many consider to be the most challenging area of string playing, the bow arm. I am Orlando Cole, and beside me, on this very slight chance that you don't recognize him, is Lynn Harrell, a wonderful cellist and teacher, and most recently gaining great reputation as a conductor.
Thank you, Landy.
Coming into this room, Lynn, this Curtis studio, reminded me that your mother and I were fellow students here back in the late 20s, and this being the chamber music room, we played many hours of classes together. She was an excellent violinist and a very lovely person. I have fond memories of her. And about 30 years later, you arrived, a very precocious 16-year-old, and I had the privilege of teaching you for a couple of years before you went into the Cleveland Symphony. So we have a bit of nostalgia to mix with this task before us.
Indeed.
I was wondering, Lynn, whether you have observed, as I have over the years of giving auditions, that the young cellist bow arms lag far behind the development of their left hand.
Yes, absolutely. I think part of the problem is, as you point out, is that the bow is so complex, and so much of what goes on in a good bow arm is internal. While in the left hand, we can see it in a mirror, we can look directly at our fingers, and we also hear the intonation. But colors of sound, subtle length of articulation differences are very much more challenging.
Sure. Yes, sometimes the student will come in and try to play the Rococo variations without being able to lift the bow off the string. And of course, if they have no variety of bow strokes, everything comes out the same. There's no sense of style, which is the very heart of playing music. I think there are a couple of obvious reasons for this. For one, I've always felt the lack of comprehensive, well-organized bow study material among cello repertoire, that is, cello etudes and methods. Nowadays, with videotape, we can demonstrate and see exactly and hear exactly the character of a bow stroke. The printed page and printed pictures lack that ability. So maybe now we can remedy that. And I thought that with the new edition of Sefcik, it could be something valuable and interesting.
Yes, I remember very well working the Sefcik 40 variations with you. And it was very eye-opening to me as a youngster with how much subtlety and diversity is possible from that end. We can make sound without the left hand, but we can't really make sound without the right hand, unless you're Paganini, maybe.
Yes. I think before we turn to the Sefcik material, it would be worthwhile to discuss some very basic things about the bow arm, since everything that follows grows out of it. I don't mean to imply to our listeners that we have the only true religion. Everything has to be suited and adjusted to the individual physical equipment of the young player. Yes. You can't stamp out bow arms like as with cookie cutters, and it takes a lot of judgment to be able to convey and articulate ideas, and at the same time to know how to approach each student. These ideas that we have grown up over the years and been long time tested, I think. And we were going to have some diversity of opinion too. I think you're not going to agree on every point. And I think in music, as in medicine, it's desirable to have sometimes a second opinion.
Yes, indeed. I think there are just, as you say, so many different ways of playing.
Sure.
Every wonderful player you can see, they all have bow arms and left hands that look a little different. And of course, hopefully, they sound a little different. So the variety is the spice of life. But certain premises of sound production, legato playing, and staccato and short note articulation apply to all of us.
Sure. I think we do agree that in performance, all these most valid technical ideas have to be cultivated with the student's ear and temperament to produce a beautiful result. I mean, good form is only the means to achieve it. And in performance, we forget the mechanical. And the instrument, both the bow and the cello itself, become an extension of our inner self.
I think that's hopefully the case. It's very trying to spend so much time isolating, investigating, and thinking consciously about doing something in the way that works. And then, as you say so aptly, that when it comes to the performance, you have to let go of all that and just speak from your heart. And this is very difficult.
Yes, for that reason, I think it's terribly important that from the beginning we form good habits that we can rely on in performance. We play technically we play from habit. Musically, we hope not. We hope to have inspiration of the moment, but technically it has to be all built into us. So we want to build it in the best way with the best potential of development.
Yes.
So let us start by observing or commenting about some of the basic faults that I think we find in bow grip, go to the very beginning. I see young people coming and trying to play this way to get power.
Yes.
And of course that immobilizes their hand and arm and finger action and just creates tension. Even without a bow, that would be tense. So I think you feel comfortable, as I do, with having the fingers what I call loosely together. And this fourth finger can come on the silver ring, I think.
Yes, that's exactly where I have it as well.
And you can cover the little pearl dot with the fourth finger, and the other fingers just loosely hooked around the stick so that we have a grip not only to press the bow, but to lift the bow. Two operations.
Although we actually hold the bow very, very similarly, because of the size difference of our hands, it looks quite different. This finger in my hand looks like it's curled up, and it is because if I leave it down, I would be hitting the side of the instrument over here. And also, with perspiration, I'd lose about 1.5 inches of hair. So I wrap it around more than someone whose fingers aren't as long.
When I want power, I also wrap this finger, the second finger helps the first,
Yes.
I think. Yeah. So one of the exercises that I've used over the years to achieve this grip is simply to do this. You can't do that if this hand is collapsed or if the hand is strained that way. So just to keep the bow parallel to the floor and even lift that way, go up to the ceiling, and keeping the hand. These are finger exercises for the right hand.
Yeah, the wrist really stays.
Yes, you could put a coin there and
yeah.
it would stay quietly, so that we develop a freedom of action in the hand. we call it a bow grip, but we're not really gripping. It's just holding gently and very, very sensitively. Then in drawing that bow, we have to draw the bow parallel to the curve of the bridge, so that it means we move our arm in and out.
Yes.
Sure.
Yes, it's so easy to play a crooked bow on the A string because the amount of arm needed to pull over that way.
Now, you were lucky in having such a wonderful long arm. I think some may want to let this rise a little bit at the change of bow rather than reach out too far. But
yes, and I think also it helps to sit slightly askew from the cello so that the shoulders are not parallel with the top of the instrument. They're over this way just for the A string help.
Sure.
We sit directly behind it. There's no way we could get a straight bow out there.
I also, if I'm doing a lot of playing in the bass, I turn the instrument that way. And it can be flexible, I think. Of course, this is a very wide cello. Maybe I should introduce the cellos, since we're talking about them. This is Lynn's Stradivarius of 1673. That's the earliest instrument I know of.
Yes.
It's a magnificent cello, a wonderful model. Yeah.
It belonged to Jacqueline Dupre early in her career.
Great specimen. And this is the greatest of the Montagnana cellos, known as the Sleeping Beauty, made in Venice by Domenico Montagnana in 1739 and played for some 20 years by the great Russian cellist Gregor Piatigorsky. So the equipment is okay.
Yes, how we use it is another matter.
Well, we were talking about drawing straight bows and the need to extend on the A string and bring close down here. The arm guiding the straightness of the bow. Now, I don't like to see players do this. They let the wrist dip. I like to keep everything the same all the time, no matter whether you're on this C string or nothing changes here.
Yes.
Is that about?
Yes, I think so. When I play very strongly, for whatever reason, if the wrist is dropped a little bit, then I can maintain somehow more pressure and more weight into the tone. If one draws particularly on the middle strings without moving the wrist at all, the bow starts going crooked because of the way the forearm is.
Yeah, there has to be motion this way.
Yeah.
Wrist,
But yes, that the angle of the wrist is the focal point of the generation of the flow of the energy from the arm. If it's down too low,
I believe, as you do, that there's a gradual descent from the shoulder, not to let the elbow dip or to do that, and not to have a squashy bow grip like this, so that all the weight of the arm and the power of the shoulders can be fed right into the stick.
yes.
And while we talk about pressures, down in the lower half of the bow, we use the weight of the arm.
Yes.
Yeah, you can play without a first finger. I can even play without the thumb. Just weight of the arm. But, of course, if I don't have any pressure as the bow goes, then it fades out.
Yes.
So I believe in using an upward pressure of that thumb and downward of the first finger to apply that pressure that we need in order to sustain the sound.
Yes. I thought of it as a kind of forearm twisting, which is the same thing as a upward pressure of the thumb and the downward of the first finger. There's some power generated just with the first finger there, but you can also get power from the wrist pressing down into the string this way. So again, like the complexity of a beautiful tone, the complexity of what goes into making it is extended. First finger pressure, thumb upward, wrist pressure, weight of the whole arm. Also towards the tip, a pulling of the stick slightly back will enable one to play very strongly at the tip without it starting to sound cramped. So there's a pressure down in the stick, and then toward the tip, a pulling back of the stick this way.
Yeah.
So what is going on to making the tone fully resonant and vibrant is very complex from the very heel to the tip.
Yes, now, these days there's a lot of talk and much written about relaxation. And an exercise that I like to have the pupils practice is simply to press that bow down so that the stick rests on the string, and yet keep all of the arm and the neck, everything free. You see, I'm not, this muscle is very relaxed.
Yes, this is absolutely important. What I've told my students is that they should be able to make a fist and not tighten up here.
Yeah, right.
The muscles for a fist are here, but of course, from the excitement of music and aggression, we can so easily just tense up everything, but it doesn't work as efficiently that way.
Oh, no. If there's tension in the shoulders or the neck, none of this power goes into the bow. So I think it's terribly important to know what muscles are working. Really, it's right in the hand here, that runs here. But to say that everything has to be completely relaxed is false. Something has to work.
Yes, and work very hard. It takes a great deal of pressure, poundage, to make a good tone.
Yeah, we just don't want to inhibit certain muscles by the use of muscles that we don't need. So it's a very delicate matter. In order to develop that feeling of getting into the string, I'll have the pupils draw the bow very close to the develop that feeling. A lot of people play without any feeling here. They're just rubbing the bow on the string. But to develop that control of pressures, terribly important.
Yes, to be able to do that back and forth very quickly is often required for a change of dynamic, change of color.
Sure.
Do it slowly and then very quickly. There's a slight difference of speed of bow and perhaps even of placement so that the sound stays good. Doesn't force or doesn't become surfacey.
Yeah.
But those are excellent exercises.
And they form the basis of what I call on-string articulation. I'm pressing, but releasing immediately as the releasing as you draw the bow. The instant the bow moves, there's no pressure.
Yes. If the release is too late, the attack is too strong.
Sure.
If it's too soon, there's no...
It's mushy.
Yes. So it's very clear to one's ear when it's correctly played, and you get a good bite right away, whether it be a very fast stroke or rather a slower one.
Sure. In the old days, Dotsauer etudes, Grützmacher, and so on. Everything has dots on it. And pupils are taught to play. But that doesn't produce a sound that you want to listen to. And furthermore, there's no resonance. The string is choked. But if you release, it's much easier physically, and the tone rings. It really pops right out of the cello.
I do remember, though, working that stroke with you. The difficulty in releasing is to be calm and cool at the end of the end of the jerk, because otherwise you get these little hairs. Yes.
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
But if you don't cramp the string at the end, like that, but make it really ring, then you do have that quality of sound.
The dot can be beautiful. Most dots aren't. They go, eh, and that's a dot. But to make a musical sound out of that dot is terribly important. So the other thing about drawing a bow is, of course, that we have three factors to adjust. The speed of the bow. If we're going very slowly, we draw near the bridge. But if we're going fast, we come nearer the fingerboard. So it's a matter of adjusting the speed, the pressure, and the place. And some teachers will say, oh, put the bow in the middle and don't change, stay right there. Of course, good players are forever changing. The bow never stays in the same place. And of course, when you move your hand in higher positions, we get closer to the bridge too. But we mustn't feel afraid of playing nearer the fingerboard.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It is important to be able to play with a heavy or a light bow, fast or slow, in one place, so that the change of position, as you're talking about, is conscious, a conscious decision, not one that is governed by, well, problems of technique. When a student would suddenly shoot up the bow toward the fingerboard because it's easier response there for a difficult passage, rather than keeping it more in the same place.
Yeah, some, of course, play too near the fingerboard all the time. They're afraid of scratching or whistling. But others, that they get near the bridge thinking that's the best place to produce a big sound. But it isn't. There's no vibration of the string, which is what we're after, unless you adjust the speed of the bow and the pressure and the place all the time. It's very sensitive. The essence of string playing is right here.
Yes, indeed.
Isn't it? The production of a beautiful sound has to be a conception in the student's ear, first of all. You have to know what you want to get out of the cello.
I've also told my students that the intrinsic musicality of what they want to hear is not at odds or at variance with the way to produce it. If you want to play a very strong attack, then there has to be more muscular involvement. If you want to play something that is very reclining and delicate, then the technique has to be that way. It isn't some artificial or abstraction, and that's lucky.
There's nothing mechanical about playing our cello.
Yeah.
Well, as you remember, years back, I turned to the violin works of Ottokar Šefčík, and I found, playing in a string quartet all my life, the Curtis Quartet, that I had to match my bow strokes, very important to do so, with the colleagues with the violins and viola. So it was quite natural for me to get the editions of Šefčík that have been made for the cello. They are so exhaustive, Šefčík, this edition, it's 4,000 exercises for the bow.
Look at that.
I don't think anybody ever went all the way through, but a selection which I'm going to be making and we're going to be demonstrating, I think is the very best material we can have to develop the potential of the bow arm. Bravo. Good, I could dance to that. That's fine. Well, we just wanted to demonstrate that even a youngster can learn to develop these bow strokes that make such a difference in the whole musical feeling of a piece. See, if you played that all on the string, as some people do, it wouldn't be any fun at all. We spoke with Lynn about the necessity, the importance of starting very young with the right bow habits. And you're going to have a lovely bow arm all of your life, I'm sure. Ray Sugimoto, 9 years old, has been studying with my longtime associate, Meta Watts, in the preparatory division of Temple University. I teach also in the preparatory division and in the college division, but I think it's terribly important that these young people get started in the right way. So I think you're going to play very well sometime. Thank you very much.
Well done.
Thank you.